Right, everybody. Hello. Sorry, I'm a little bit late, and looks like we did get started. Hey, Woody, I've got a snake in my boot. Oh boy. Okay. All right. So, hello. Thank you for the like and share. Anyways, all right. There we go. We're on here. How you doing, Woody? Hopefully everything's well with you. Um. All right. So we do have. I guess we have three people here with us now. So. Uh, Did you take off on me again, Woody? All right. Okay. Excuse me just one moment. Just gotta go make a quick adjustment to something here. I'll be right back. Yeah, I'll leave some music on and go ahead and get started here. All right, I'm back. Anyways, uh, um, rock and roll. I've got a smoke, got a snake in my boot. All right. Yeah, I heard that earlier, Woody. So, um, anyways, so let's hear now. Yes, I can. So tonight, we have five articles to go over. One from Bounding into Comics and four others from CBR. We're gonna actually start off with an article I was thinking about doing last night, but chose not to. But considering the low number of articles we were going to read, and considering that the other four from CBR would have probably been pretty quick anyway, I decided to have this article, which is an interview Kurt Angle did talking about um, his drug dependency. I'll know, I'll know the first time I had a snake in one boot, and then I had the snake in both boots. Oh, okay, okay. That's possible. Anyways, um, so yeah, so we're gonna look at an article from an interview with Kurt Angle about some drug issues he had during his career. Also, on the comic side of things, the CDR we'll be looking at of DC Comics is now relaunching DC.com, and also there's a new horror graphic novel coming out called Fraternity from Humanoid. We'll be looking at that, and then on the anime side of it, I'll have a couple of articles we'll be looking in on there. One of which is Marvel Comics artist Stephen Byrne turning Marvel characters and Batman into chibi characters. Now, those of you who don't understand what a chibi character is, they did a chibi character that kind of is made to look kind of like a childlike character almost, real cutesy childlike character. It's not as much for sexual thing. It's more in a comedic fashion, you know. So and then also with Solo Leveling getting an anime adaptation, we're gonna see how other Korean comics, aka manhwa, are what effect that will have on them. So, anyways, a few of us in here now. Without no further ado, why don't we go ahead and get started? Get started right away on this stuff, and we will get into this first article here. As such. All right, there we go. So here's the first article we're going to look at, which should take us some time to go through. Alrighty then. WWE Hall of Famer and Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle opens up about his drug dependency to help others overcome their own addiction. Article by G. Augustine published yesterday. All right, so A&E's biography is devoting a summer of specials to the trials and tribulations of some of the WWE's most um, noteworthy quote unquote sports entertainers. Last Sunday, the documentary series devoted 2 hours to former multi-time champion, Olympic gold medalist winner Kurt Angle. While they glossed over his time in TNA wrestling, which was a decade longer than his WWE career, why they did so for a good reason. Angle wanted to come clean about his demons of, of addiction to pills and alcohol that plagued him while he was there, and since he left WWE in 2006. Um, Now, some of this was due in part to the fact that he had suffered some significant neck problems in his time. The idea of doing all those multiple German suplexes and landing on the back of your head and neck that can really do a lot of damage to your neck if you're not careful. And of course, the thing about Kurt Angle is they do a lot of neck scraping as amateur wrestling. The idea of trying to bridge yourself out of a pinfall situation. But anyway, so quote, I went through a lot of turmoil in my life and I want to help others. Unquote Angle told Fox News. Quote, having a problem with addiction and being in recovery for the last 9 years, I was told in the recovery center to tell your story, and I've been pretty open about my story. Unquote. He added, quote, and I wanted this documentary to come out to help anybody that's in trouble, anybody that's dealing with addiction, anybody that's trying to overcome obstacles. It's more about redemption and overcoming. Angle overcame a great deal of tragedy to get to the Olympics in 1996, um, from the murder of his coach Dave Schultz to breaking his neck for the first time, all on the road to his first big accolade. Quote, I would hope it was a proud moment for everybody, unquote. He said, admitting, quote, it was the proudest moment of my life besides having kids and getting married. You know, you're never guaranteed any kind of success in life. And when you win an Olympic gold medal, you're the best in the whole entire world. And that sends a message to everybody that you're very special, that you stand out, unquote. Um, hey, Robert. Let's see. Hey, Woody. Hey, Robert. If you haven't already, you can like and share the stream and help. Good for Kurting. Yep. Um, and part of the reason I'm doing this story, of course, it's a good human interest story. Um, even if you're not into pro wrestling, you know, um, even if pro wrestling's not your thing, this is still good human interest story to really look at the example and to see how he deals with it. So we will have obviously some comic articles a little later, but hope everybody will stick around. And if you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream and see if we can get some more friendly people in here, that'd be appreciated. Anyways, getting back to article here. Um, his pivotal win for himself and the USA over Iran's Abbas Jadidi also came in the aftermath of the Olympic Park bombing that turned into a media sensation, later documented in the Clint Eastwood biographical drama Richard Jewell. But luckily, the U.S. attained wins at the games the country could be proud of despite the tragedy. Mm-hmm. But I think in that particular time, the bombing happened and people needed something to cheer about, unquote. Angle continued. And quote, and Terry Strug did the dismount and landed it perfectly and won for Team USA gymnastics. But I'm sure if you all remember from that time, Terry Strug was a member of the United States gymnastics team. And the thing about how she landed that perfectly too was that was on a bad ankle. I think her ankle had been kind of injured during the Olympics there. She still pulled that off. So that was a great moment. My moment was great. There were a lot of great moments in the Olympics in 1986 that the USA had to be very proud of, unquote. Coming off his win and the celebration, he was quickly scouted and given an offer for the WWE at the time, but turned it down. One, he turned down at the time, not wanting to lose on TV ever, and not taking pro wrestling that seriously at that point. Now, of course, this would eventually lead to him, making an appearance for ECW prior to his eventual signing with the WWE as well, or WWF at the time as well. So he, and in fact, they're even going to there. That's what this next paragraph is pointing out. He would appear on a show run by Extreme Championship Wrestling that would go south very quickly and potentially jeopardize any notion WWE had to bring him in. On the night in question, ECW star, the Sandman, was mock crucified, complete with a crown of thorny barbed wire, causing Angle to storm out of the building in disgust. So I remember hearing about that. Angle was not overly thrilled about that moment. You know, of course, again, his knowledge and understanding of pro wrestling at the time was still fairly limited. He thought it was, like a lot of people who don't follow it as closely, thought it was foolish, thought it was phony, all the same. So, um, anyways, um, we continue on here. ECW was out of the question, but still willing to give it a try. Angle consulted controversial figure Ric Flair on what he should do. The two options left back then: WWE and its main competitor, World Championship Wrestling. Um, quote, I met Ric Flair before I signed the WWE, and I said in small quote, "Hey Rick, do you think I should go to WWE or WCW?" Unquote. Angle explained. Quote, Rick was in WCW at the time. He said, quote, do not come to WCW. They'll annihilate you. They'll crush you. Go to WWE because Vince McMahon would take care of you, um, in smaller quote. And he was absolutely right. Of course, a few years later, WCW would basically end up being sold to Vince McMahon, as we all know. Um, that's what Vince McMahon did. He took care of me, unquote. McMahon would hype Angle's debut with a series of vignettes playing up Angle's accomplishments in a snarky way that would drive fans to turn on him. Irking them further was his status as a quote unquote real athlete and his three I's motto: intensity, integrity, and intelligence. Yeah. And then John Cena would adopt something similar years later, and he'd get a huge pop for it. Angle revealed, quote, he thought it was perfect for me to be an Olympic gold medalist. He wanted me to be this clean cut Olympian that preached the three I's and motivated fans. And actually, he knew it would backfire. Yeah, in the particularly in the as part of the Attitude Era, the whole idea of the whole positive messaging thing would not go well. You know, that was just the times they were in. The whole idea of, obviously we were well past the point of say your prayers, eat your vitamins, you know, the mania, the madness, and all that good stuff. Um, quote, he was pretending to push me as a babyface, knowing that the fans would, unload all over me because I was so clean cut. It was like, give me a break. This guy can't be that good, unquote, he added. Quote, it worked extremely well and it turned me heel, even though I would preach the three I's. I would still cheat and win. That also gave me a lot of heat, unquote. And mind you, too, it's also one of those things. This was around the same time that, of course, Steve Austin was popular as well. Austin acted more like a heel as well. Stomping mud holes in people and walking them dry. This is also, of course, around some of the time, or just past it. Well, I guess actually, Hart had already left by that point. The ex-WWE chairman, beleaguered by misconduct allegations and reports of hush money that forced him into retirement, was praised and defended by Angle repeatedly. Quote, I'm sad because Vince was the Achilles heel of WWE. He's what made it roll. He's what made it happen. If it weren't for Vince, the WWE would not exist, unquote. Which is true to an extent because, Vince, after basically buying the company from his father, decided to make it national, really just going up against NWA and the traditionalism of professional wrestling. When he bought out his father. So um, Engel said of McMahon's exit, quote, "I'm not saying he's perfect. He didn't do everything perfectly. He made very few mistakes from a business standpoint," unquote. That said, the frequent neck injuries that sent Engel down the road of drug dependency were suffered while working for McMahon. After 4 years, he was popping 65 Vicodin tablets a day, and his condition was compounded by the overdose death of his sister. Whoa. Yeah. 65 Vicodin a day. Wow. Hoping he'd seek treatment, WWE let him go in 2006. Instead of taking time off, the Olympian jumped to TNA, where he spent a decade with a lighter schedule. Mm-hmm. If you guys are saying anything about this, good for me. Let's see. What he says, Flair was one honest person he could trust. Well, yeah, I mean, and think about it. Flair was working for Flair was working for the opposing company at the time. Good for McMahon too. Flair was working for the opposing company at the time. It would stand to reason that he would you would think that Flair would say, "Yeah, come to WCW. We can use you," but he said no. He actually said, "No, you're better off going to the company that I'm actually competing against for your career." So, I mean, that in of itself is pretty cool if you think about it. Um, so let's see. Let's get going here. Continue on. Unfortunately, it didn't help, and Angel's health did not improve. He was arrested often for drug possession, intoxication, DWI. For those of you who may not know, but I'm sure everybody does, driving while intoxicated, and even stalking between 2007 and 2013. Soon after, he finally sought treatment and got better for his family. Quote, "Came down to this. My wife was going to leave me if I didn't go to rehab. And she's everything to me, and so are my kids." Unquote. He sure. Now, I don't know if this was Karen at the time. This is Karen they're talking about. Of course, if some of you may know, this is Karen Angle they're talking about. She did eventually leave him, and she now, of course, is the wife of Jeff Jarrett. And of course, she was actually in Jarrett and Jay Lethal's corner this past Sunday at Ric Flair's last match, the JCP event. So, oh yeah, just quote. And knowing I could, in brackets, lose them, it was more important to me to get rid of my addiction and stay clean and be with my wife and kids than it was for me to continue to be addicted. Unquote. Engel added, quote, "I want them to know this documentary is about overcoming everything, all obstacles, addiction, injuries, death of family members, personal things in your lives. It's about redemption and gaining back your reputation after you lost it." Unquote. That's pretty interesting. Um, he continued, quote, "And I want everybody to know that it's possible, even at the worst point in your life, you could still come out of it and come out shining," unquote. Kurt Angle retired in 2017 and may have beaten addiction, but he returned to the ring for one more match. It was very remote after he recently had both his knees replaced. Yeah, I mean, during the thing is, now you have to remember too, Kurt Angle was already kind of in turn from a pro wrestling standpoint when he signed to the WWE. I think he was already like in his late 20s by that point. Um, so he was kind of already, granted he was not like he wasn't an old man. He wasn't like Terry Funk or Ric Flair or anything like that, like they are now. But he was kind of at the latter, at a point where a lot of guys are established, and they, it's like once you hit 30, then in pro wrestling, that's when you usually start to go, downhill. Some guys do still maintain a high level, into their 30s, well into their 30s, and usually can go until like 40. But Kurt Angle was already kind of, you um, I think was already kind of at a point where and then taking the extra bumps he would, especially with a lot of the move set that he adopted. He adopted more high flying moves. I mean, doing the rolling Germans is considered doing the rolling German suplex where a move that was of course popularized by Chris Benoit, where it's a waistlock suplex that you bridge back and then turn your hips and go, that those multiple impact on your neck doing those can be quite damaging to you if you're not careful. So with that, um, we'll get ready to move on to the next article here. Is come to the end of that article, and that next article, of course, we'll be going over CBR now. We'll actually be getting into the comic articles that were. Okay, so now that we're moving on to the comic articles here, um, I hope people are still here. um, anyway, so let's get ready to go on to this next article here. All right, actually, before I do that, let me do one more thing too here. All right, so with that, getting back to this. Okay. Alrighty then. So with that, let's see now. DC relaunches DC.com with new features and content. DC Comics unveils a newly relaunched DC.com, which comes with brand new features, content, and collectible items at the DC shop for fans. Article by Brendan Schwer, published 12 hours ago. Oh, let's see what this is all about. And of course, as always, guys, feel free to comment if anything catches your interest or anything like that. Feel free to the conversation as it were. Um, all right. DC Comics is relaunching its website, DC.com, with all new features and content. DC unveiled its updated website with a brand new homepage featuring a number of recently added features, including weekly video content, digital experiences, and more. Quote, DC.com is a celebration of everything across the DC multiverse. Um, and we couldn't be more excited for today's launch, unquote, said DC GM, well, General Manager, Senior Vice President Anna DePias. Quote, we are doubling down on DC digital ecosystem, and there has never been a better time to be a DC fan. And with this one-stop shop, we're bringing everything together in one place to easily access and celebrate your fandom. Okay, well, that's, I guess they got to do something to kind of counterbalance the lack of sales in the comics, considering from all the woke storytelling they're trying to push. DC.com's new weekly video content will include trailers for new releases, exclusive interviews, and more. Videos featuring fan favorite moments throughout DC history will release every Tuesday and Friday, while DC Community will also host a themed trivia event for fans every Tuesday. Fans can tune into DC Community for Riddler Wednesdays to work together or by themselves to solve a challenging word puzzle. Um, maybe a redux, maybe? On Thursdays, DC.com will additionally curate a DC's um, a quote DC's House of Mystery unquote post featuring iconic moments, characters, and more for fans to dive into. Additionally, DC.com will offer monthly deep dives exploring the latest Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman happenings, and a quote My DC origin story unquote digital experience, which gives fans an interactive opportunity to explore their own specific place in the DC universe. All right. Uh, the DC Community Hub, which is available for all registered DC.com users, will also add a new live chat feature, badges, flare options, and avatars, including a Batman fan, first post, top fan, and more options. Every month, registered fans will have the opportunity to enter to become a community member of the month and highlight their favorite DC comics. To celebrate the new launch, DC Universe Infinite will release collections featuring fan favorite stories, creators, and other moments. Quote, DC's Book Club offers curated selections each month and titles available on DC Universe Infinite as free to read for registered users, exclusive downloads, and discussions through DC Community. The publisher said, quote, fans can get ready for the upcoming August book club selection, the seminal Sandman Volume 1, Prelude and Nocturnes, just in time for the streaming series debut on Netflix. Unquote. DC Shop will also celebrate the launch of new Harley Quinn, um, Black Adam, and Shazam: Fury of the Gods apparel designs, um, Batman themed LED lights, luggage, backpacks, books, and more collectible items. Quote, the improved customer experience will make it easier than ever before to find products featuring your favorite superheroes and supervillains with dedicated character pages, unquote, DC said. Previously registered DC.com users can still use their existing logins to access the new site. New users can sign up at www.dc.com. Registration comes with free comics, a chance to enter a contest for a hometown screening of a DC theatrical release, and more. So there we go. There we go with that one. All right. So we will get ready to move on to the next article here. I'm actually going to need to step away from the computer for a few minutes here, so I'll be right back. It's going to be the next article we'll get into here. As I said, I'll be right back. Hopefully, you guys will come back soon. I'll be right back. I guess I forgot to mute myself there, but that's okay. So now we'll get ready to move on to the next article here. Um, Let me just check something else real quick. Alrighty then. So, anyways, alright. Hey, Woody. Woody, there's a bunch of emo crons there. I have no idea what they mean, but anyways. Alright, it says that John Ellis and Hugo Petruse's fraternity brings a cult horror to college. PBR has an exclusive preview of Humanoid. I believe that's the name of a company, of a publishing company. Fraternity, a new graphic novel from John Ellis and Hugo Petrus, bringing a cult horror to college. Article by Brian Schwer, published 3 hours ago. Okay, so Humanoid. Humanoid's new fraternity graphic novel by writer John Ellis and artist Hugo Petrus brings a cult horror onto a college campus. CDR can exclusively preview Fraternity, a new horror-themed graphic novel from Ellis Petrus and colorist Lee Lowry. Um, the graphic novel, which releases later this month, follows childhood friends Jake and Wyatt as they head off to college. Trouble quickly arises when Jake begins to pull away from Wyatt after he joins a shady fraternity. The graphic novel goes on to reveal a number of gory surprises involving blood sacrifices, demon possession, and more. Whoa, whoa! And here are some of the images, of course. The synopsis for Fraternity reads, oh, after suffering a tragic loss, Wyatt can't wait for a fresh start away at college. Too bad freshman year isn't all it's cracked up to be, especially when you're a grieving introvert. If it wasn't for his best friend and roommate Jake, who he's known since they were kids, Wyatt would never leave his room. But when Jake joins a mysterious fraternity, Wyatt unearths something beyond sinister within the red brick wall. Now Wyatt must fight like hell to save his friend or risk losing him to eternal fraternal damnation. All hail Amaymon, king of the southern gate. Preview pages for fraternities show a growing distance between the two friends. Wyatt calls Jake after he's an hour late to meet him for lunch, leading to an argument between the two. The sinister force appears to take over Jake as he snaps at Wyatt before rigorously apologizing. Later, Jake tells a woman named Amber, who also appears to be infected with the same sinister force. He's hearing a voice inside of his head. Quote, it, in brackets, the voice, used to be nonsense, like a stranger whispering something across the room, unquote, Jake says before. I mean, he hasn't told anyone else about the problem. Of course he wouldn't. I mean, who would, you tell somebody that you're hearing voices and liable to lock you up in an asylum somewhere. Liable to put a strap on a straight jacket and lock you outside of room. You don't hurt yourself, right? I hear voices in my head. They counsel me. They understand. They talk. They talk to me. They talk to me. Anyway, getting back to the article here. Let's see. Oh, lately it's gotten worse. The voice has gotten Wilson. Ellis previously interned with Marvel Comics, Valiant Entertainment, Simon and Schuster, and Macmillan Learning. He's credited as a writer on the Valiant Universe Handbook 2019 edition number 1. Petrus has worked for several publishers on numerous titles, including DC's Justice League of America and Midnighter, Marvel's Nick Fury, and more. Low Ridge um, has also worked for a large handful of publishers in the past, including Marvel and DC in 2001. Low Ridge was nominated for an International Horror Guild Award for his work on the House on the Borderlands. Eternity releases August 9th from Humanoid. So I'm guessing it's Humanoid the comic. There we go with that one. Now we're going to get into the anime related stories. All right, so we had a couple uh, articles here as well in the anime section. And we may even add some more if I feel I need to. There was another article there that kind of caught my attention just now. Marvel artist Stephen Byrne reinvents the MCU and Batman as animated chibi characters. Stephen Byrne revealed a short animated film summarizing the Marvel Cinematic Universe's latest era with pint-sized heroes and humorous antics. Article by Ben Wasserman, published 8 hours ago. So those are a lot of what the chibi characters look like right there. You can see that. All right. Down there. Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 4 just got chibi-fied, and it is unbearably cute. Okay. Marvel artist Stephen Byrne, who's currently working on Dark Horse Comics' Joy Operation, shared an animated video on um, July 22nd overhauling the live action Marvel films, TV shows, and What If animated show under the title Marvel Chums Universe Animated. All right. Opening with a Marvel Studios intro riff, the, the video briefly spotlights the Phase 1 Avengers member in a classic comic art style. Before assembling them together for, for a group shot, the image is then undercut by Sling Ring portal, revealing smaller TV-sized Avengers wearing the cast Endgame. Then transitions into a a montage of Phase 4 character moments from WandaVision to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, um, with, with brief glimpses of recent adaptations like Ms. Marvel and Thor: Love and Thunder. Now, mind you, too, to understand a little bit more, I guess another way to understand what TV design is basically like. If you guys remember the Marvel superhero show, those characters would be considered like TV, TV type, TV type characters of Marvel characters. Okay? Um, that might give you bit of a better understanding what it means for a character to be what a TV character is, or TV type character, TVification. Um, and of course, there's some Steven Byrne Twitter account again. Marvel Film Universe Animated. Much of Byrne's video emphasizes comedic but occasionally dark proofs of key events from the films and shows, as well as fandom reactions to new characters. The these moments include the Falcon and the Winter Soldier's John Walker, U.S. agent, face planning during a fight. Colonel's cast distracted by leisurely activities while Thanos beats the Avengers, and Hawkeye's his ship, enlarging a pizza for Lucky, i.e. Pizza Dog, via Tricero. Near the end of the video, begins incorporating multiverse figures from past animated Marvel films and cartoons, and even makes a DC reference in which Multiverse of Madness, America Chavez encounters Batman. Right? Anybody say anything more about this? Right? Continuing on with the article here. At last month's San Diego Comic Con, Marvel Studios Kevin Feige confirmed that Phase 4 would conclude this November with Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Other previously established projects like Ant-Man and the Wasp, uh, Quantum Mania, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Marvels, and more will be part of Phase 5. It is now collectively dubbed Multiverse Saga. In terms of content, Phase 4 has greatly exceeded all other Marvel phases since the MCU's creation, with over 50 hours of storytelling compared to the Phase 3 26 hours, despite producing well-reviewed entries like Ms. Marvel and Spider-Man: No Way Home. Phase 4 has also undergone much scrutiny from critics and fans, citing issues with like a lack of precise direction compared to previous eras and reliance on humor. Other projects failed to win acclaim, with Eternals receiving a rare rotten score for Marvel Studios on Rotten Tomatoes. Um, Other notable Phase 5 projects include the um, Mahershala Ali starring Blade film, Daredevil reboot, Daredevil Born Again, and the long-rumored Thunderbolts adaptation, Phase 6. By comparison, will include a new Fantastic Four movie, followed by back-to-back Avengers sequels, Avengers Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars. Marvel is also currently working on new animated content for Disney Plus, such as Spider-Man Freshman Year and Marvel Zombies. And yes, I've seen like little tidbits here and there on that too. There we go with that one. All right, continuing on here. Move on to the next article. Said I might add one more because there was one looks like he actually did. It might be of some interest. All right, so what Solo Leveling's highly anticipated anime adaptation means for other manhwa. Now, for those of you who don't know, manhwa is Korean comics. You know, manga is Japanese comics. Manhwa is Korean comics. Manhua is Chinese comics. So just to try to, just for you to help you understand the differences there. Uh, the long-awaited solo leveling anime heralds a new era for manhwa. Um, Perhaps fans will finally see their long-awaited favorite on screen. Article by Jeffy Zhu, published 3 hours ago. Now, of course, solo leveling also recently had some other more tragic news when their artist um, passed away after a long battle with chronic illness. And some of that story was Lisa um, strong and hot passed away after a battle with after a long battle with illness. Anyways, um, continuing on with the story here. Um, Manhwa are Korean comics that are often full color and have been popularized through online publishing services like Webtoon. Is this true? Yep. Let's see. Okay. The stylization of manhwa characterized by its detail in both the background and character design. Despite the richness in source material, adaptations of manhwa were practically unheard of until recent years. Over time, many long-running manhwa have attracted large fan bases, which has caught the attention of the anime industry. The recent adaptations of classic manhwa, like Tower of God and The God of High School, are in, are an indication of changing times. Basically, meaning that now that manhwa are becoming more exposed to the general public, you know, people wanting to see anime versions of them. Yeah. Related article down here. Okay, so solo leveling artist Jubu passes away due to cerebral hemorrhage. That's really what we were talking about. Anyways, let's see. Because of how much time these series have had to accumulate, the following anime adaptations of manhwa come with the additional risk of being viewed as underwhelming if it doesn't meet your expectations. Since manhwa are generally less known than manga, not many manhwa um, have had the opportunity to be considered for adaptation. Recent years that has been changing. Solo leveling has attracted a cult following. Solo leveling is set in a world where in smaller quote gates connecting the human world to monster infested realms have started opening randomly. Because of this, humans with magic abilities, known as hunters, have gained the ability to enter the gates to battle deadly monsters. Um, Hunters have rankings indicating the capability, and as an E-level hunter, Chong Jin Woo is considered the weakest of them all. During one such expedition into a D-level dungeon turned deadly, he escaped from rather death with a newfound ability to continuously grow his powers. Okay? That might be of some help. Originally released as a Korean web novel on Kako Page in 2016, it was soon adapted into a webtoon series in 2018. Known for its extensive detail into action scenes and the satisfying growth of its protagonist, Solo Leveling quickly became a textbook example of a good action fantasy film. Over the years, it has accumulated a huge following, with sales of both the web novel and the webtoon exceeding 30 million on Kakao. Let's see. Fans have long been awaiting an anime adaptation, on and on July 4th, 2022, um, Crunchyroll released the trailer for Solo Leveling. Um, Anime set to be released in 2023. The adaptation will be produced by A1 Pictures, known for other series like Your Lie in April and Sword Art Online. And I think Fairy Tail is also part of that too, I believe. Fans are hopeful that it lives up to the fame of the original. What this means for other manhwa. Manhwa used to be relatively unknown in comparison to its massively more popular Japanese counterpart, manga. But now viewers are seeing an upward trend of anime being adapted from manhwa. So far, most of the adaptations have been based off of popular action or fantasy manhwa, as those are most likely to attract a wider audience. The announcement of the Solo Leveling anime series to have sparked an incentive to dive into potential Korean manhwa. Viewers are beginning to see manhwa that are more niche in recognition. Um, Announcement of an anime adaptation based on the manhwa Why Raeliana ended up at Duke Mansion, the prime example of a chipboard manhwa. And that's been something we've been talking about for the last year or so. Some of these anime, manga, and manhwa that are coming out with these longer titles. Right? So, after remaining under the radar for so long, manhwa are finally beginning to get the recognition they deserve. Solo Leveling may not be the first of its kind to receive an anime adaptation, but it certainly marks the beginning of what's to come. Okay, so there we go with that one. So now that was going to be the last article from this read, but I know we're not even at the hour and a half mark yet. So, might, so we're just past 1 hour. All right. So there was another article that came up here just recently. And I might add this one here. Right, this is one of those like profile pieces that comes around every once in a while here. Guess I'll do this one as well. And most likely this will be the last article we do. And I'll start doing a restaurant. An anime where the main character actually dies. When written intentionally, a character's death impacts viewers. Some anime increase the stakes by flipping the script and killing the main character. Article by Brittany Maldonado, updated 15 minutes ago. Okay. Didn't just publish it, but I guess you updated it. Okay. Once in a while, a series comes along and makes a controversial choice to kill off its main character. Creators kill characters for many reasons. They must remember that a character's death needs to have an impact. A death thrown in for shock value or one that doesn't serve any purpose, the story, or another character's growth is a death waste, and it cheapens the story that it's meant to enhance. And some people might argue this is what happens in Dragon Ball a lot. Anyways, before I continue on, we have to step away from the computer for a moment. I'll be right back. Go ahead. All right, I'm back now. Let's see the article here. All right, so so some anime series become notorious for large-scale character deaths, while others are more conservative with their death scenes. In parentheses, if they choose to show any. Nevertheless, well-written character deaths can set the premise for a series or give it as by any. Um, Updated on July 31st, 2022 by Olivia. The main character dying plot point can be great introduction to more classical storyline, or it can be and they're saying spoilers ahead. Okay, well we won't continue this article because if it's got spoilers in it, then that's not a good thing. So I'll just all right. Oh, and we're back. Okay. Well, I wasn't aware that there were spoilers in that last story, so otherwise I would not have gone ahead and tried to go through it. But anyways, so we're at an hour 13, so we're gonna go ahead and do some wrestling wrap up here. We've got some WWE and AEW news, of course, and focus on here. Some of the news coming out of the WWE is that Monday's Raw actually had the highest ratings it's had in quite some time, since before the pandemic. A lot of that they say is because of Triple H taking over and the new direction he may be planning on taking the company in. As what we've been seeing here is, obviously, Triple H putting more of his stamp on the show, as it were. We saw it Friday night and SmackDown. We saw it at SummerSlam a little bit, and now we're, there are some, basically there are some WWE stars right now who are worried that their push may either be changing or maybe they may be most notably Theory and Omos, who are two of McMahon's favorites. Theory, McMahon was pitching Austin Theory as the next John Cena, but it may look like that, at least from everything we're seeing thus far. I don't know if Triple H feels the same thing. As for Omos has a size that McMahon always liked. Big 7-foot guy, 300 pounds, but his in-ring ability seems to be a little on the shaky side, much like, Tiny Lister when he, the few times he, got in the ring as Zeus back in the late 80s and early 90s. There's talk that they initially paired Omos up with AJ Styles, and when that didn't work, they paired him up with MVP. MVP, of course, a good talker, can help him on some of those points. There's talk now about sending Omos back down to NXT to work on his in-ring ability more. Also, there seems to be some scuttlebutt going around about some of the more veteran stars, like Charlotte Flair, like Natalia, who may be looking to put them more in a role of basically helping to push up the younger talent, basically to pair them off with some of the younger talent, because the one criticism that's been with the WWE for a while now that many many news guys and commentators talked about is the need for them to start building, you know, the younger talent up, the you know, building new stars. And now McMahon was doing it. I mean, McMahon had his favorites. You know, among them included like Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Austin Theory, Riddle. Some of these guys, though, are not necessarily. There's talk also that Triple H is looking to bring back some of the people who recently left. Dakota Kai was brought back and put into a package with Bailey and Io Sky. Um, there's some talk that they're looking to possibly try to bring back Sasha Banks and Naomi into the company. The only time we'll tell if that will actually happen. Um, also been talk that again they're working a very slow heel turn for Dominic Mysterio. Um, idea that he's tired of being the proverbial punching bag, as it were. A lot of things seem to be changing as Triple H seems to be a lot of things a lot of things seem to be changing in terms of how they're doing programming and stuff. They're also, of course, prepping for Clash of the Castle pay per view in Ireland with Drew McIntyre getting a shot at Roman Reigns for the unified title. So right now, keeping the SmackDown title on Liv Morgan for the time being. And of course, Ronda Rousey got kayfabe suspended for attacking the ref after the match. After got the pinfall got counted against her. She was on her back, cross arm breaker. So, um, and there's also talk that Brock Lesnar may be retiring, may be considering retiring now. You know, WWE can still use him in certain capacities, but with Vince now retired, and then talking about how Brock and Vince had kind of a father-son relationship there, have to wonder if Brock is still interested in continuing with the company. So that's all going down. So you're gonna over the next couple months here, you're gonna probably see some changes going on in WWE as they move forward, move into, I guess, the Paul Levesque, aka Hunter Hearst Helmsley, creative era. See what he's gonna do. You know, he might bring back some guys. You might see some more back and forth now between AEW and, in fact, there's another report that came out today that they were wondering if Tony Khan was possibly a little bit worried about Triple H being in charge because he might start to lose some of his guys now. There might be some guys who might be wanting to go, either guys who came there from the WWE because they didn't like how they were being booked, or who could be going back now that Triple H is in charge again, or some of the guys, some of the AEW originals deciding that maybe they want to go to the WWE and try their luck. And some talk that MJF may be one of those guys. So with that, that's something we'll obviously be keeping an eye on. And speaking of AEW, of course, tonight Dynamite has some ramifications as among the matches that are happening right now, including Jericho taking on Wheeler Yuta. The winner of that match will be going on next Wednesday at the Quake by the Lake event, Quake by the Lake Dynamite episode. The winner of that match will be challenging Jon Moxley for the AEW Undisputed title. You know, have the revival of a 25-year-old feud as Matt Hardy taking on Christian Cage one-on-one. Orange Cassidy is seeking revenge against the Lethal after their six-man match from Friday's Rampage. Um, Or there are a few other Powerhouse Hobbs will be in action tonight, and Taz is. Hey, Rick, how you doing? I'm starting to wind down now. Not too based on most of the articles I was covering, so we're actually getting ready to wind down here. Um, just going through the wrestling roundabout here, wrestling roundup. Um, yeah, so uh, Powerhouse Hobbs will be in action tonight. Good. All right. Yeah. So let's see, and Chad did promise on Dark last night that he would be addressing the situation that happened between Hobbs and Ricky Starks last week when Hobbs attacked Starks after Starks lost the FTW title to Hook. Um, how Hobbs attacked. So that situation will be addressed tonight. Of course, I'll have all the info on all that tomorrow. The tag team Thunderstorm, Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm will be taking on the um, returning Dr. Britt Baker from injury and Jamie Hayter with Rebel in their corner, and also the Undisputed Elite will be making an appearance also tonight. Adam Cole with tag team of Red Dragon with Kyle O'Reilly and can't remember his last name, and then of course the Young Bucks. So we'll be seeing that as well. So now also things are being set up for this week. Now on Friday they're going to have Rampage as well from Grand Rapids, and then they're also going to be prior to the Rampage taping. They're going to be taping the Battle of the Belts 3 event that they'll be showing on Saturday. At that event, the one match that's already signed for that event will be Claudio Castagnoli defending the Ring of Honor title against Konosuke Takeshita or Takeshita, however you want to pronounce it. So that's all that And Pac had they showed another one of Pac's successful defenses of the All Atlantic title last night on AEW Dark, which was recorded July 23rd from a Rev Pro show, where he successfully defended the All Atlantic title against I don't remember that guy's name. Right? Anyway, so that's a lot of that's good too. An hour. So let's see. So AEW of course has break the late next Wednesday. That'll about just going to be taped Friday for Saturday showing. So that's all the AEW news we got for you right now. And now I guess it's a good time to start getting ready to wind down. Unless you guys have anything else you want to ask about or comment on. I know Ricky just came in, so probably haven't heard of. I actually started out the show. Um, going over an article in regards to Kurt Angle, the human interest story. You want to go back and watch that at some point. Um, so yeah, so unless you guys have anything you want to ask about or talk about, I think I'll start to wrap things up a bit here. And if you haven't already, you can like and share this thing. You can get some more people here. And I think you guys will like and share. And just waiting to see if anybody has anything more I'd like to say. If not, well, probably, as I said, uh, one, going twice. Alrighty then. So, guess it's a good time to start wrapping things up. So, today is Wednesday, August the 3rd, 2022. So, why don't we go ahead and take a look back at this day in niche history? History! All right. So, first off, we're going to head back 25 years ago today to 1997 as we head back and from the Continental Airlines Arena in New Jersey. In let's see, the Continental Airlines in East Rutherford, New Jersey. WBE, or at the time WEF, held its SummerSlam event there on this date in 1997. The main event saw Bret Hart defeat the Undertaker for the WEF Championship with Shawn Michaels as special guest referee. If Hart had lost this match, he would have had to never again wrestle in the United States. Steve Austin, Stone Cold defeated Owen Hart for the Intercontinental Championship match. Los Boricuas won an 8-man tag against the Disciples of Apocalypse. Legion of Doom defeated the Godwins. The British Bulldog retained the European Championship over Ken Shamrock. Um, Mankind, the show opened with Mankind defeating Hunter Helmsley in a steel cage match. Now, some notes from this event, some interesting notes. This was the first SummerSlam where the WWF Championship changed hands. Prior to this, there was also a big ceremony because this is the first time in 9 years previous to this event that WWF had actually returned to do a show in New Jersey, in partly due thanks to the fact of the higher tax, as the New Jersey governor at the time, Christine Todd Whitman, had actually lowered taxes, allowing WWF to start coming back in and doing shows there. The show would mark Todd Pettingill's last appearance in the WWF as well. So, so those are just some interesting notes there happen on this show as well. With that, we do have one more piece of news to go through here, or news history rather. Um, one more piece of news history to go through. Go over here. On this date, 11 years ago today, um, the 70th issue of Volume 2 of Jonah Hex, DC Comics, went on sale on this date 11 years ago today. Sold for $2.99 to 32 pages. The story was called Weird Western. Of course, based on an old DC title called Weird Western Tales, which was actually the anthology book that Jonah Hex was initially a part of back when he was first introduced. The story was written by Justin Gray, as well as Jimmy Palmiotti, also inked the story. The story was penciled by Ryan Sock and Diego Olmos. It was Mick Gray also did some inking on the story, and then lettered by Rob Lee and Lee Lowridge, who did the coloring, who we talked about earlier tonight with the horror story of coming out from Humanoids Fraternity. So that's all that I have for you in terms of news items tonight, guys. Don't forget, we're on every night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, to give you the latest in niche news covering crowd. anime, cartoons, comics, manga, pro wrestling, and on Fridays, of course, we do have our historical comic retrospective. Rick, you're here, so of course, Rick here from Cross Comics will be here with me for the show. Hope everybody will be back tomorrow as well as Friday. This Friday, we start our coverage of April of 1938 comics that went on sale. We'll be focusing on DC Comics, and you're all going to want to be here. You're going to want to watch it, even if you can't watch it live. It's always preferable to watch it live, but you're gonna really want to watch it, even if you can't watch it live. You're going to want to watch this episode because we're going to be covering, of course, the first appearances of Batman and the Golden Age Red Tornado Mahungle, and the first published appearance of Sandman. So I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow as well as Friday. And until then, bye.